Hi everybody, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video I want to talk to you about 4 areas in your life that you can tend to help build your immunity. Okay, so this goes without saying, I know you read the disclaimer that I just put up, but none of this should be interpreted as medical advice because there are very strict regulations in my country and I'm not allowed to give medical advice to people outside of clinic. How many eggs? I don't know what that means. 4? Nice. Okay, can you bring them inside? Awesome. We're just outside soaking up some vitamin D on this beautiful fall day. And I've noticed a lot of my friends and family members dealing with illness already. And there's a lot of nasty like cold bugs and stuff floating around. And I thought it was like the perfect time to start talking about how we can build our immune system, some of the areas that we can look at. Now, I'm just going to be doing a really brief overview here. And of course, again, nothing I'm saying today should be taken as medical advice. This is just areas that I tend to myself, for me and my family. But I do teach this in more detail in my membership platform. The doors for it are currently closed, but you can get on the wait list. Just check in the description below if that's of interest to you. If you are local to me, I'm also going to be hosting an in-person class. So I encourage you to get on my email list as well, because I'll be doing a small circle where we're going to talk all about the ways that we can build our immune system and hopefully have a vibrant and healthy winter season. Actually really happy, like check it out, my Swiss chard, my cucamelons. We had a frost warning last night, and you can see I've got sheets hanging up everywhere around the property to dry off because we covered a lot of the more sensitive crops. But one of the first areas, number 1, that I want to talk to you about is tending to your nervous system. This is something that a lot of people forget frequently, and I believe it's one of the main culprits of maybe those first rounds of colds and illnesses when we start to head back to school. Because of that transition time, it can be really stressful, especially for kids, right? If they've had 7 weeks off or 8 weeks off over the summer, they've gotten used to a different routine, and now suddenly they're back at school. Their sleep schedule has been disturbed. The amount of time off that they've had to do the things that they want to do has changed and shifted. And there's usually a different dynamic going on at home. So even in my house where we homeschool, we have a different routine and a different way of doing things once my husband goes back to work and we start homeschooling again. For us, of course, this is also when the vast majority of our crops are coming in, and I've got a lot of work in the garden. So tending to your nervous system. Now, what can that look like? Right? Again, can't give medical advice, but what type of supplements would support the nervous system? I know I would certainly be upping my B vitamins right now. I would be looking at my flower essence friends and how can I support any emerging emotional states that I might be dealing with. And I've got a video on flower essences that you can check out. I encourage you to look into this too. But one area that is often neglected is sleep. We are, as much as we don't think we are a part of this beautiful rhythm and cycle that happens on the planet. And we are starting to head into the darker half of the year. More of a dormancy period, a wintering period where we should be spending more time sleeping. Less time staying up late at night, watching Netflix or playing video games or whatever the things are that you do. Although, as an aside, my family and I just canceled Netflix. It's so freeing. We also canceled Prime. So for us, that's like $30 Canadian a month that we're saving. But how can you start, especially for the little ones, how can we nourish that sleep? How can we really get good quality rest and restoration? Some big things, of course, we can talk about screen time. There's so many nuances here. Like I said, I really just want to dive into this a little bit. So number 1, how are you nourishing your nervous system? The number 2 thing that I want to talk about is inflammation. Now, what I'm going to share with you here today, please don't shoot the messenger. It's not my fault that the things that cause inflammation in the body also tend to be the things that people use as vices to support themselves to deal with stress. And that also happen to be highly addictive. So what are some of the more common inflammatory products? Of course, this would be sugar. This would be alcohol. This would be smoking, anything of any kind. And I have no judgment on how people want to live their life. But if you're looking at ways to reduce inflammation in the body, these are excellent places to start. Something else to consider is what is inflammatory for my body might not be for yours. So start to think about some of the other food sensitivities and triggers that you have. Maybe you're already aware of this. Maybe you know that, oh, if I eat that thing, I won't feel well, right? Or maybe I'll get congested. And so start thinking about all of those inflammatory things that we're bringing into our body, because when our body is already inflamed, it has a hard time dealing with foreign invaders, i.e. pathogens. And so we want to try to really reduce that inflammation as much as possible. I would be looking into herbs and supplements that also help to do this. But remember, there's no quick fix. Often the inflammatory agents in our life are lifestyle related. So as the aforementioned, sugar, alcohol, smoking, foods that tend to be inflammatory for a lot of humans. This is commercially grown wheat, dairy, sometimes soy. It really depends on the human. Something else to consider is starting to clean up house. I talk about this a lot in my Detox Your Life program, and in that module for Weavers, which is my monthly membership platform. We got to clean house. What kind of products are you bringing in? Are you still using products that contain high levels of toxins and inflammatory ingredients? So these are things that you can start to look at. Where am I bringing inflammation into the house and into my body? Just as a quick aside, look how many raspberries I have. This is going to be, ooh, that one snapped off in the wind. We get really high winds here, but these guys are loaded. We are picking every day and filling up the freezers. Really awesome. All right, number three. And this kind of weaves into all the other areas. You're going to start to notice there's some overlap here, but tending to your terrain is so important. Now, I think it's important for me to share that I am not staunchly on the side of terrain theory, and I'm not staunchly on the side of germ theory. I think that there's kind of a good middle ground that we can, navigate. Do I believe that if I have tended to my terrain and I'm reducing inflammation, getting enough sleep, moving my body, taking the vitamins that I need, eating nourishing foods, doing all of these things, is my terrain going to be better off and more easily able to deal with any pathogens, foreign invaders that come into my system? Oh, you betcha. And you're going to be hard pressed to convince me otherwise on that regard. So I do believe tending to your terrain is important. And one of the number one places we have to start, I actually just posted about this on Instagram, where it was kind of like a bit of a chuckle where, we're all swallowing back our elderberry syrup and our fire cider because we're worried about boosting our immune system. Did you know that 70 to 80% of your immune system's in your gut? And so if your digestion is a hot mess, you're not going to be able to deal with the viruses and things that are floating around during the colder seasons. A lot of that does, by the way, have to do with change in ambient temperature and humidity. Also, I'm kind of convinced, and I'm going to link another video I did a while ago, that we kind of create a perfect storm during what some people refer to as cold and flu season. Again, I don't staunchly fall on one side or the other. I think one of the biggest mistakes humans can make right now is sticking your stake in the sand with regards to any issues, and therefore not being open to new pieces of information that come in. So I'm always learning, always growing. But if you're not tending to your terrain, especially your gut health, I don't know what I can do for you. So this rolls back to, what are those food sensitivities, those inflammatory products? Are you eating too much sugar? Are you drinking too much. Again, don't shoot the messenger here. Alcohol's a poison. It just is, right? Can we use tinctures medicinally in very small amounts? Sure, but that is not the same as wine o'clock. Now, of course, do what you want, right? Free will and all that beautiful stuff. But tending to that terrain is so important. Are you taking the proper vitamins and nutrients that help to boost your immune system? I can already see it. There's so much less sun. So I could still spend all day outside in the sun, and I'm not going to be at the same vitamin D levels that I would have been in July. It just is what it is. It's always this time, I had to get creative where I was hanging my sheets. They're like everywhere, all over the property. But this time of year, I can always tell exactly how much asparagus I missed when I was harvesting. It looks like I have ferns everywhere. Nope, my friends, that is mature asparagus that has gone to flower and seed. All right, area number 4, last one, so you don't have to keep listening to me talk. Have you built up your apothecary? If the unfortunate happens and someone in your family gets sick, I want you to go over to your cabinet right now, press pause, and take a stock. Did you pause? Okay, good. Now you're back. What do you have in there? Do you have elderberry syrup? Do you have fire cider? Do you have your oxymels? Do you have your homeopathics? What do you have in your cabinet to deal with all of the viruses and all the yucky stuff that may come into your home this winter? I often get people messaging me being like, what should I do? And I'm like, well, what do you have on hand? They're like, nothing. And I'm like, why, right? And to me, this is the same thing as having a first aid kit. You don't go out and buy the bandages and the tourniquets and all the things after you're injured. Hopefully not, right? You have a fully stocked first aid kit. You should have a fully stocked apothecary within your comfort levels, within what feels good to you and your knowledge levels, right? Your apothecary may look different than mine, and that's okay. But an empty apothecary isn't going to help you much when you're sick, you're flat out in bed, you've got a fever, and you wish you had all the things. So this is the kind of stuff that I go into way more detail in my Building Immunity on Weavers, and of course in my in-person classes. I just wanted to give you a taste of where you can start doing your research. What kind of YouTube videos are you looking at? You know, what kind of books do you want to take out of the library so you can start to figure out, how am I going to build the home apothecary? My to-do list always grows when I film these videos. Look, we need to harvest our potato towers too. It's crazy how much those sunk. I'm like looking. Look, anyway, you've listened to me yammer on quite a bit. I hope you took some notes. I hope you found some useful information in this. And remember, this was just a general overview in order to inspire you into what to look into, what research you want to do next. I also hope you got on the Weavers wait list. There is a link to that in the description. If you're local, let me know. I'll hook you up with my local Facebook group. And if you're not local, still get on my email list, because I share lots of really, really great free information, links to my videos and my blog posts. Now, if you have any questions that I can answer, remember, I cannot give specific medical advice, but general questions I'm happy to answer. Just drop those in the comments below. So thanks so much for watching. I really hope that you have a wonderful, vibrant, and healthy fall and winter season. And until next time, this is Corinne from Spirea Herbs, wishing you health and wellness.